What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. Today we are out at the range and we're going to be running the Glock 19X. Now this is my first range trip with this gun. I brought about 350 rounds with me, some steel, some brass, some self-defense ammo. When I get a new gun, I like to run a little bit of everything through it just to see how it performs. So today I'm really just going to be shooting at some steel, getting a feel for the 19X. So let's go ahead, run some rounds through it, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. So those first rounds didn't feel too bad. We ran 2 of the 19 round Glock X magazines. Everything fed well, everything felt really good. But with that being said, let's put some more rounds through this thing. I don't know if you guys saw that, but the brass flipped out and went right back into the mag. So as you guys just saw, the Glock 19X performed great at the range. Now I put about 400 rounds through this gun, some steel, some brass, and some self-defense ammunition, and the 19X ate everything up just fine. Now I did have one unexpected issue with the 19X, and it is kind of a big deal, so definitely stick around to hear that. Whether you own a Glock 19X or you're thinking about owning a Glock 19X, this is definitely something that you'll want to hear. Now what we're going to do is jump over to the workbench, take this thing apart, and check out the internals after those 400 rounds. Alright guys, now before we break the Glock 19X down and talk about the issue that I was having, I do want to do a quick rundown on the Glock 19X, kind of explain to some of those guys that don't know about it, why Glock created it, and what it's all about. So the Glock 19X is Glock's civilian version of their MHS Trials handgun. So a while back, the military wanted to find a gun to replace the Beretta 92. As we all know, Sig Sauer won that contract with the P320, but the gun that Glock submitted was their MHS, and the 19X is a variant of that. It is not the exact same gun, but it is what Glock wanted to release similar to that to the civilian market. Now, the MHS did have an external safety. I know some collectors and purists out there really wanted to see that external safety on the 19X. Personally, I'm not a big fan of an external safety on my handguns, but looking at it from a collector's point of view, it would have been cool to have that. Now, the Glock 19X is basically a Glock 17 size frame with a 19 size slide. Now, Glock did this for military purposes. This gun is not an everyday carry gun. That's not what it was designed for. Personally, I wanted to buy this as more of my go-to-war type handgun. Having that full-size grip and shorter slide is nice for ease of holstering, getting it on target faster, but I do know it's not for everybody, and there are a lot of guys that were upset with Glock releasing the 19X the way that it is. As we know, everybody wanted to see a 19 size frame, that 17 size slide giving you a longer barrel and a longer sight radius, and to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Glock released that sometime in the near future. Now there are a few things that the Gen 5 Glocks have that the Glock 19X does not have. One of those things would be a cutout here on the front strap to aid in stripping magazines. Personally, all of my Glocks drop their mags freely, so I really don't see a need for that. The next thing would be the Glock 19X does have a lanyard loop, which you could very easily pop out and put one of the grip plugs in there if you wanted to, or just do away with it completely. I'm going to leave it on there even though I don't plan on using it. It just really doesn't bother me much. Now, another thing with the Glock 19X that the Gen 5s do not have would be that the front bevel up here on the slide does match up with the frame. I know a lot of people were like, what the hell is Glock thinking when they released their Gen 5s, and that little bevel cut did not match up with the frame. Now, it is nice to see that Glock did bevel the slide on the 19X much like the Gen 5s. It does aid in getting the gun in the holster a little better, so that's just a small touch that it was nice to see Glock put into this gun. Now, another thing with the 19X, this does come with steel factory night sights, just some basic 3-dot night sights, nothing special. But one thing about Glocks, it's like when you buy a Glock, they have crappy plastic sights, so everybody that buys one has to go out and spend another $100 to $150 replacing the sights, so it was cool to see some steel factory night sights. Now, while we're on the topic of sights, this is exactly where I found my issue out at the range. So after about 150 rounds, I started to notice that my rear sight was walking to the right, completely walking out of the dovetail, and it wasn't loose enough to push with my fingers, but it was loose enough that under recoil it started to move. So I already sent Glock an email. Hopefully I will hear back from them soon, and maybe they will ship out another sight. Now, I also talked with Mike, the owner of Tango Arms, who also has a Glock 19X, and he is having the same problem. So he went ahead and sent Glock an email as well. I don't know if this is something we're going to see that happens commonly on the 19X, but if you guys own a Glock 19X and this has happened, definitely let me know down in the comments below. And if you're thinking about buying a Glock 19X, that's just something to think about. Now, getting into the color of the Glock 19X, this is the first fully coated gun that Glock has released from their factory, and it is pretty cool because they do include these Coyote magazines, just something different from Glock, and I do like these because you can see just how dirty your mags are getting. You know, with a factory Glock mag or a black magazine in general, you're not going to be able to tell how dirty they get, but with a Coyote magazine, you will definitely see just how dirty they get, and it will remind you to clean your mags a little bit easier. Now, the frame color on this, or I guess the whole gun that Glock is calling it, is Coyote. It's not a flat dark earth. It is a little bit darker than most flat dark earths you see out there, and the slide does look like it is a different shade, and that is because it is NPVD coated, and in my opinion, it looks more like a bronze than an actual Coyote color. Now, the NPVD coating is supposed to be very, very tough. I am looking forward to see how this finish holds up over a long period of time. Now, let's go ahead and break this Glock 19X down and talk a little bit more about it. Take the mag out. And one thing that's really nice about the 19X is it does come with two 19-round magazines and a flush fit 17-round mag. Now, personally, I have quite a few 17-round mags. Older Glock magazines do fit in this gun without an issue, but I do plan on ordering more of the factory 19-rounders. I have found them between $30 and $35. I will go ahead and put a link below where you guys can find some of those. But let's set the frame aside and talk about this slide. So the Glock 19X is running a dual captured recoil spring guide rod assembly, and like we mentioned earlier, that Gen 5 Marksman barrel. Now, the Marksman barrels do have polygonal rifling as well as a target crown. Now, is this something we're all going to see a huge difference with? I really don't think so, but it is nice that Glock did step up their game a little bit, and they are starting to improve some of their components. Now, on the slide itself, you guys will see some of that copper residue still in there. I literally took the Glock 19 right out of the box straight to the range. I didn't oil it up. I didn't do anything like that. We will do that once we get past 1,000 rounds, but as for now, this thing is running just fine. Now, you guys may be seeing some of that purple up here in front, and I'm guessing that is just runoff from some of the Loctite that Glock used to put the front sight on. Really not a big deal. It doesn't affect anything, but once we give this thing a good cleaning, I will get all of that cleaned up. Now, let's get the slide out of the way and talk about the frame a little bit. And this is really what makes the Glock 19X a 19X, having that full-size grip. And like I said, I really think it's comfortable not having finger grooves, being able to get that full grip on there. It's just a really, really comfortable frame. Now, besides that, it is basically your typical Glock frame. Texturing is nothing different. I really wish they would jump to the RTF2 texturing, but will I stipple this? I'm really not sure yet. I really just want to leave this gun alone. Now, when this thing ships from Glock's factory, it does come in a flat Dark Earth Glock case, which this is something you don't see a whole lot, so that was kind of cool. And it does also come with your typical Glock mag loader, nothing special there, as well as some back straps, a lock, and a cleaning rod. Now let's go ahead and throw this thing back together, and there are a few more things that I want to show you guys with the 19X that I've been getting asked quite a few questions about, and that is different lights on the gun. Right now I am running a Surefire X300 UA, which is the quick detach model. I've really been wanting one of these in flat Dark Earth, and I recently picked this up. Really happy to have it, but man, do these things get dirty. So the next light that I want to throw on here is from Streamlight, and this is their TLR7. This is a fairly new light. It's really not out there a whole lot yet. There are some good reviews on it though, and I do plan on having a review done on this light in the next few weeks. But this is what it looks like on the 19X. It does fit the 19X as well as other Glock 19s, the CZ-P10C, and the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 Compact very well. Lines up at the front, doesn't protrude. Now the controls on it are something that I'm not the biggest fan of, but we will get more into that once I do the actual review on the TLR7. Now the next light that I want to show you guys, and this is a very common, very popular light out there, and this is the Streamlight TLR1 HL. Now, Streamlight does offer these lights in a flat Dark Earth and a coyote color that really match the 19X about perfectly. They honestly match it better than the flat Dark Earth X300 if that's something you're interested in. But the TLR1 HL fits on here basically the same as a Glock 19. These are great lights, especially for the money. And like I said, that flat Dark Earth and brown coyote type color they have looks absolutely sick on the 19X. Now, another light that I just recently got in, and guys, this light is a beast, is the Surefire XH35. Now, this light is a 1000 lumen light, but what's really cool about this light is Surefire included a toggle switch on the bottom to go from high mode to low mode. So we're going to go to high mode and get 1000 lumens, and then click that down into low mode and get 300 lumens. Now that is a really cool option, and then we also have another toggle switch to kick it into strobe mode or just regular momentary and constant. But guys, the XH35 really does look pretty sick on this gun. I've been running this light on one of my other Glock 19s, and it does suck because this light does not fit into the same holsters as an X300, but I will get a holster for the XH35 sometime down the road. Now let's go ahead and pop these lights off. And there is a few more things I want to talk about. One of those things is going to be the trigger. Now the trigger in this gun from the factory is coming in between 5 and 5.5 pounds. Really a typical Glock trigger. It does feel a little bit better than some of the previous generation Glocks, but I may end up putting a minus connector in here sometime down the road. But as for now, it works, it does its job, so I'm not too worried about it. Now, if you are running any magazines with extended base pads that have this little nub, that does give you an issue running into your lanyard loop. And it works, everything functions fine, but the magazines will not drop freely. You have to strip them out, so that is just something to be cautious of. Now, besides that, there's really not a whole lot more that I wanted to touch base on with the Glock 19X. That rear sight walking out was an issue. Hopefully Glock will get that solved and hit me back up with an email, and then I will keep you guys posted on that. But as for right now, 400 rounds through the Glock 19X, and it has been running great. We will do another video once we hit 1,000 rounds. So if you guys have any further questions on the 19X, definitely leave me a comment down below or shoot me an email, and I would be happy to get back with you. And I'll also include some product links as well as discount codes down in the video description. Some of those links I'm affiliated with, others I am not, but either way, thank you guys for your support. So that's going to wrap it up on the Glock 19X 400 round update. If there's anything else I could do for you guys, definitely leave it down in the comment section below. As always, thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Catch you guys in the next one.